Welcome to Eliminating Caregiver Chaos, the podcast where we stop pretending caregiving is just about tasks and start dealing with the real weight you're carrying, the emotional one. I'm DJ Castilleja, and I help family caregivers stop drowning in guilt, resentment, and burnout by teaching them how to actually process their emotions instead of just pushing them down and hoping for the best. Now, before we dive in, I want you to know this podcast is designed specifically for you, the caregiver on the go. Whether you're driving to yet another doctor's appointment, folding laundry, prepping meals, or stealing a few minutes in your car before you walk back into the chaos, I've got you. You don't need to sit down with a notebook or be in the perfect headspace. Just listen. Let this sink in while you're doing what you need to do. Today, we're building on what we talked about last time, and we're taking it to the next level. We're talking about the fourth and final emotional mistake caregivers make, and honestly, it might be the most dangerous one of all. We're talking about aloneness. So, let's dive in. Over the past several episodes, we've been walking through the emotional mistakes that silently wear caregivers down to nothing. We talked about minimizing, the "I'm fine, don't worry about me" habit that puts a lid on a boiling pot. The pressure doesn't go away, it just builds. Then we covered suppression, shoving emotions down so deep you try to pretend they don't exist at all, like stuffing clutter into a closet right before company comes over. Looks fine on the outside, but that door won't stay shut forever. And last time we tackled the trap of trying to fix your emotions with logic, telling yourself, "I shouldn't feel this way," or "other people have it worse," trying to think your way out of grief and guilt, and why that approach, no matter how well intentioned, only makes things worse. Today we arrive at the fourth mistake, and I call it the coup de grace. That's a French phrase. It means the final blow because when you've been minimizing, suppressing, and logicking your way through your emotions, this is where it all leads: aloneness. Now, I want to be clear about something because this is important. When I say aloneness, I am not just talking about being physically by yourself. You can have family in the house, friends texting to check in, a whole care team involved. You can be in a room full of people and still feel completely and utterly alone. We're not talking about proximity to other people, we're talking about what is going on inside of us. That's what emotional aloneness is. It's when you feel unseen, unheard, and unsupported in what you're actually carrying inside. We smile when someone asks how we're doing. You say, "I'm hanging in there." You go through the motions, but deep down, they don't really get it. The conversations stay surface level, and your real fears, your real grief, your real frustration, they stay locked away. And here's what makes it worse: most people genuinely want to help you, but when they come face to face with your raw emotions, all the sadness you're carrying, all the loss, all your exhaustion, or all your guilt, they don't know what to do with it. So they default to logic. They say things like, "At least your loved one is still here. You're so strong, you'll get through this. Don't feel guilty, you're doing everything you can." Though their intentions are kind, their words still land like a door shutting in your face because instead of being truly heard, your feelings just got managed. And that can make you feel even more alone than before they said anything at all. Here's something important I want you to understand: aloneness doesn't usually happen because people don't care about you. Most of the time, it happens because people simply don't know how to show up for the kind of emotions and pain you're carrying. Caregiving is heavy, and for a lot of people in your life, your friends, your siblings, even your closest family members, when they get close enough to feel the weight of what you're going through, it overwhelms them. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to help. So without even realizing it, they pull back. They stop calling as often, they change the subject, they offer a quick, "you've got this," and move on. Not because they don't love you, but because they don't have the tools to sit in that kind of pain with you. And you can't really blame them. No one taught them how to do it either. Remember those emotional hand me downs we talked about earlier in this series? That's not just a you problem, that's an everyone problem. But here's what that dynamic creates: you're going through one of the hardest seasons of your life, and the people around you are quietly stepping back because they feel so helpless. And so, without anyone intending for it to happen, you find yourself more and more alone with it. Now, the first three mistakes, minimizing, suppressing, and trying to logic it all away, they add another layer on top of this. Because when you're not letting anyone else see what you're truly carrying, it makes it even harder for the people who do want to show up to know how. They look at you and think, "she seems to be handling it okay." Or, "he hasn't said anything, so he must be okay." Nobody is trying to abandon you, but the result can feel exactly like that. It becomes a quiet, unintentional cycle. They pull back because they feel helpless. You pull inward because you feel unseen. And the gap between you and the support you desperately need grows wider without anyone choosing it. This is why I call aloneness the coup de grace, the final blow, because it compounds everything else. It takes the weight you're already carrying and doubles it, because now you're bearing it all alone, in silence, with no one truly walking alongside you. And here's where it gets really serious, because being emotionally alone doesn't just drain you, it starts to distort the way you see things. When no one truly sees you, when you feel like no one really understands what you're carrying, you start to believe things that aren't true. "I have to do this all by myself. Nobody else cares. I don't matter." Those thoughts feed burnout and despair faster than anything else. They chip away at your sense of worth, your hope, and your ability to keep going. And some caregivers have spent years operating under the belief that if it's just you and God, you don't need anyone else. That asking for a help is a sign of weakness or even a lack of faith. And I get it. That belief may have carried you through some very hard seasons. But here's the truth: self reliance that refuses connection isn't strength, it's isolation with a noble sounding name. We were created for community. And when you close the door on the support and perspective and shared wisdom that other people can offer, you're not stronger for it. You're just more alone. So, what's the answer? How do you break out of emotional aloneness? It starts with one thing: authentic connection. Now, I'm not saying you need to pour your heart out to everyone in your life. Not everyone is equipped to hold what you're carrying, and that's okay. But finding even one safe person or space where you can be real, where you can say, "I'm not okay," without someone immediately trying to fix it or minimize it, that can begin to break the walls down. One person who sits with your feelings without judgment, one space where your grief, your anger, your fear is allowed to just exist, that's where the healing starts. Think about how differently we treat physical health versus emotional health. Nobody questions you for hiring a personal trainer when you want to get stronger. Nobody calls you weak for seeing a physical therapist after an injury. We actually admire people who invest in their physical health. But the moment someone suggests emotional support, counseling, coaching, a support group, suddenly there's this voice that says something must be wrong with me. Like needing help with your emotions is a character flaw. I want to reframe that. Let's stop calling it counseling. Let's call it what it really is: training. Just like you train your muscles, you can train your emotional endurance. And caregiving demands emotional endurance. That's not weakness, that's preparation, that's strength. So let's pull this whole series together before we close today. Over these past episodes, we've walked through four emotional mistakes that caregivers make and how each one leads to the next. Mistake number one, minimizing, laughing off frustration, saying I'm fine, putting a lid on the boiling pot. The feelings are still there, growing. Mistake number two, suppressing, pushing emotions so deep you pretend that they don't exist at all. The hidden bricks in your backpack, they don't disappear, they just make every step a little bit heavier. Mistake number three, trying to solve emotions with logic or thinking your way through it, reasoning your way out of grief and guilt. Only emotions can heal emotions. Logic aimed at an emotional wound doesn't soothe it, it dismisses it. Mistake number four, aloneness, the coup de grace. Feeling unseen, unheard, and unsupported, even in a room full of people. A quiet, unintentional cycle where the people around you pull back because they feel helpless, and you pull inward because you feel unseen. These four mistakes don't just hurt you, they affect the caregiving that you can give. When you're emotionally depleted and disconnected, it becomes harder to sit with your loved one's emotions, their grief, their fears, their awareness of what's slipping away. If your own cup is overflowing, you can't be the steady presence they need. But when you learn to acknowledge, feel, and tend to your own emotions, you become an emotional anchor. You can sit with the hard, heavy feelings alongside your loved ones without shutting down or running away. You stop just managing care, you become a true source of healing. If today's episode resonated with you, if you recognize yourself in any part of this cycle, I want you to know there is a way through it. You don't have to keep carrying all of this all by yourself. At Eliminating Caregiver Chaos, I work with caregivers one-on-one and in group settings to help you identify and release the emotional buildup that's been driving your burnout. Not surface level fixes, real, lasting emotional relief. Not just for caregiving, but for life. Head over to eliminatingcaregiverchaos.com to learn more and take the next step. And if this episode helped you, share it. There is another caregiver in your life who needs to hear this. Let's get it to them. Until next time, take care of yourself so you can take care of them.